All right. I want to thank everyone for coming out today. We have a somewhat larger group. That's great. That means that people are coming out. Hopefully you are at least somewhat excited about the transition over to Fastcase 7. If you are here because you are worried or anxious, this session is also designed to put your mind at ease. My name is Ken Strickland Garcia. I am the West Coast Reference Attorney. I am a member of the Reference Attorney staff, which is a fancy way of saying we do at Fastcase a complimentary with your subscription, provides you with a set of licensed attorneys who assist with things like designing research queries, finding content, and then we also have individuals who assist with technical issues and the like. So today's session, obviously, is called Migration to the New Fastcase, a live training with a reference attorney. I'm also joined today by our head of reference, Aaron Page, and we're going to kind of ping back and forth. Number one, hopefully to keep you more interested, and number two, because we all notice different things in the system, and so it's always good to have an extra set of eyes to assist in pointing out what one should know of importance when we're talking about utilizing the new Fastcase.
Hello, everyone.
Hi, Aaron. Now, a few announcements before we get started, because we need to clean the house before we enter the house. Housekeeping. Number one, this session is not available for CLE credit. If you need CLE credit, we do provide up to 4 hours of CLE credit in 1 hour each session. These sessions are available by going to fastcase.com/webinars. Once more, that is fastcase.com/webinars. If you forget that link, the one place you need to remember then is just email support@fastcase.com. As a general rule, if you forget everything that I've said today and you have any follow-up questions, support@fastcase.com is a great way to ask for a reminder of anything you've heard during the session. Now, following the session, we will be sending out a recording. So if during the session you experience audio issues or video issues, do not fret. Unfortunately, with a group this large, we do not have the bandwidth to individually troubleshoot technical issues. For audio concerns, I do remind everyone there is a dial-in option. So if you are having issues with audio, please consult the confirmation email you received from GoToWebinar at the time of registration. Aaron, have you placed the dial-in information in the chat box as of yet?
I'm about to do so. So keep an eye out on the chat window. You'll see the dial-in information right there.
Perfect. Now, everyone is on mute because we have several hundred people in this session. If you have questions, please place them in the questions box. We will answer as many as possible during this live session. Any unanswered questions that were not covered in the session, they will be covered in a follow-up email in the next 2 days. So do not fret, we will get those concerns resolved. Okay. Now, the most important announcement, and this is the one that I'm going to emphasize, there is no fretting allowed with regards to this transition. You are going to receive numerous opportunities for training. That means you're going to receive so many emails from me about opportunities to be trained on the system. You're going to think, oh, I wish he would just leave me alone. We're also going to have extra support staff on hand in the coming months to make sure that there are not long wait times, or that you are not having to leave 3 or 4 voicemails in order to get your any issues you might have in the new system resolved. I encourage everyone to use the time to get comfortable. Now, the really important note, or one piece to remember when we're talking about the transition, is you are not losing, and I repeat, you are not losing access to the old Fastcase or the Fastcase 6 when you transition. What is happening, you will retain access to both systems at minimum until September of 2021. So as I'm really emphasizing, I encourage you to take this time to play around with both versions and get comfortable with where we're going to end up. I also really encourage people to use this next year to tell me what is working and what is not working. With a company that's small, we design technological updates based solely, and I do emphasize based solely around customer feedback. If enough people tell us that something is not ideal or something is not working or something is desired, that is where updates are designed and implemented. All right. As I noted, any feedback can be provided directly to that magic email address I noted earlier, support@fastcase.com. Between 8 a.m. and 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, most emails are returned in an hour or less. All right, now with all of this being said, a great starting point is going to be, let's talk about, because I just told you that the most important factor, at least in my opinion, to prevent fretting is knowing that I have access to both versions, is knowing that I can learn to ride a bike without having my training wheels pulled away right away. That was probably a terrible analogy, but we'll work on those for next time. So transitioning, on your screen currently, you see the newer version of Fastcase, Fastcase 7. How do you get from this? How do you get from Fastcase 7? By the way, when we talk about the defaults, as I noted, you're not losing access to the system. What you're going to see, your new default page when you log in, post default date will be what you see on your screen here. If you were saying, okay, well, I need to immediately get back to the old Fastcase, you do the following. There's an icon in the top right. It is an orange circle that'll have letters inside of it. Those letters should be associated with your name. If they are not, you can adjust that under settings. The important part is hey, Aaron, we're getting a notable amount of feedback.
Yes, I saw that. Hold on just one second, my apology.
I cannot hear you.
Okay, hopefully that sounds better. I apologize for the feedback. Just a moment.
All right, it appears to have been resolved. Thank you everyone for your patience. All right, so transitioning, 7 to 6, look, if you're on the page of 7, orange circle in the top right. If you are in chat and I tell you to look for the orange circle in the top right, I am talking about right here. I am circling it with my cursor currently. If you hover over it, it will say account. The circle top right should have your initials. If it does not, change it in settings. The important part, orange circle top right, letters inside of it. You click it. A drop-down menu will appear. Settings is obviously available there. That's where we can change our name. Back to Fastcase 6 is the important thing to click here. So as you see, if I click that there, it's going to take me back to the older version of Fastcase. So I want to emphasize for the last time, and I'll stop dwelling, default means the version you see on your page upon logging in. It does not mean you lose access to the older version. So do not let this banner here frighten you in any way. Take your time and get comfortable with the new version. Now, if you are back in 6, the way that you get back to 7 is quite simple as well. You look for this sliding button. So there's a sliding button in the top right of 6. It says welcome and my name. So if you click that sliding button, so here you see similar location, top right, if I click that sliding button, it then takes me back to the new version of Fastcase. All right. So with that out of the way, I'm going to now turn it over to you, Aaron, if you want to discuss support options and that lovely question circle icon.
Thanks, Ken. So you do have a number of support materials that are available to you to assist you with learning how to use Fastcase and also to assist you with what's changed in the new system. All of our support materials are available under that icon that you see in the top right corner that looks like a circle with a question mark in it, which Ken is going to click on for us. When you click on that menu, you'll be able to see a number of different materials. The one at the very top, the one that's labeled Boolean Tips, is a guide to the connectors that are available in Fastcase 7. So you might remember back from your law school days how Boolean or keyword search was a search where you entered the terms that you were interested in and then used connectors to explain how you wanted those terms to be related to one another. if you wanted those terms to be within a certain distance of each other, or if you want either of those terms to be present, etc. So this chart shows you all of the connectors that are available in Fastcase so that you can write a better search. And if you ever have questions about how to run an efficient search using Boolean keyword logic, one of the webinars that we offer for CLE credit, it's always offered on the third Thursday of the month, is called Introduction to Boolean Searching, and that's a great webinar to attend for more information about that type of search. So now we're going to go to the second item down, and we're just going to quickly describe these. The changelog is a list of all of the things that have changed and updated in the Fastcase system. As you can see, we are constantly updating our system. So it's always a good idea, if you want to know what's new in the system, to take a quick glance at this material. Also in the support materials, under that question mark icon, you'll see the Fastcase user guide. This is a great way to learn about how to use Fastcase. It's a step-by-step guide, complete with pictures, that shows you how to use the Fastcase system. Also in that drop-down menu, you'll see the tutorial videos. These are short, 5-minute or less videos on specific subjects in Fastcase. So this is a really great way, again, to learn about the system. For example, if after today you don't remember how to print, there's a video that will show you how to use the download function. If you don't remember how to email a case, there's a video for that. So again, great short on-demand videos that you can use to learn about Fastcase. Also from that drop-down menu, you'll see our webinar schedule. As we mentioned before, these are free CLE webinars that you can sign up for and attend. And then finally, at the bottom of the list, you'll see a link to more support. More support is a great place to see all of the materials that we have for training purposes. While I'm up here in the corner, we're just going to go back to that account menu in the top right corner and just point out there's an account management button there. If you click on that, that will show you the background information about your login, how to access Fastcase, what email address is going to be used, etc., etc. Also from that drop-down menu, you'll see access to other materials such as the settings. From that menu, you can control a number of things about your Fastcase experience. And these include some of the types of materials that will be available in your search results. So if you want to see historic editions of documents, if you want to see the 2012 edition of the statutes in addition to the 2020 edition, that's how you control whether that material shows up in your search results or not. Okay, so we'll go ahead and close the settings for now. And I'm just going to talk about one last menu here at the top of the page. And that's the one that looks like a telephone keypad or like a little waffle. These are the apps and tools. And from this menu, you can see some of the partners that Fastcase works with. These include Docket Alarm, which is our sister product. Docket Alarm interfaces with state and federal dockets to pull the rest of the case information, briefs, pleadings, motions, etc. I mention this because this new version of Fastcase has some materials from our sister product integrated into it. And as Ken will show you in a little bit, it's a great way to get access to that type of material. You can also see Law Street Media, our other sister product. That's our news function, and that is completely free to use. So if you want to learn more about legal news, tech news, environmental news, healthcare news, we have a number of great writers, great articles available there as well. I also point this session out because we do integrate with Clio Practice Management. So if you use Clio to deal with your timekeeping and billing, that's a great way to integrate with Fastcase. And if you are looking for people search records, we also have an integration with TransUnion TLO XP. Again, that is separate from Fastcase. It's a separate subscription, but it does integrate with our system. All right. Ken, would you care to show them how to start a basic search in Fastcase?
Yes. So I'm actually going to touch on one other thing before we move over to searching. And that is, you know, you're wanting to run a search, and I know that everyone thinks, okay, well, right away, I don't have time to listen to any of this. What are y'all talking about? Just tell me about searching. But one issue we run into when you're trying to run a search, that may be an issue that happens after you run a search, is what is the type and coverage of content I have within the system? So I always like to start a searching inquiry on that note. So we have a couple of options available for you with regards to coverage. So we have a separate menu here that, so the first place I'll start is we have a separate menu that shows us years of coverage. Now the screen you see here, I went to at fastcase.com/coverage. So once more, fastcase.com/coverage. What this menu does is it tells you jurisdictions and the years of coverage associated with those respective jurisdictions. As a general rule, unless noted otherwise, coverage for primary law content is the following. If you are dealing with state courts, coverage is from 1950 until today. If you are dealing with federal district courts, coverage is from 1924 until today. And Aaron, correct me if I'm wrong, but if we're dealing with U.S. Supreme Court, we have the full range of coverage for that jurisdiction.
That's correct.
Now, when we're dealing with statutes, we tend to have the last 10 to 14 years of codified editions. When I say a codified edition, I mean that a state has went in and gathered all of their recent versions of statutes for that state, put them together in an ordered fashion, and released a codification. That is what we mean by codified editions. Now, I encourage everyone, open up all of these menus, really explore the type of coverage that you have available. This is a great way that if you are thinking, I do not want to waste a phone call because I want to know if you have BIA decisions, this is where we check to see if we have those categories. Now, the other place where we explore our content is going to be the Browse menu. So we find the Browse menu by clicking on the big blue button below the search bar that says Browse Libraries. When you click on that button, it opens up the Browse menu for respective materials. Now, I am based in Portland, Oregon, so my defaulted Browse menu is the state of Oregon and associated federal materials. That will include things like the United States Code, as well as case law from federal courts located in Oregon. Now, from this menu here, you're going to have your individual sources organized by content type. So, for example, the person that just asked about are jury instructions, civil and criminal, available within coverage. This is a great way to check. So, for example, if I was looking, okay, well, I wanted to know if I have jury instructions available for Oregon. I could come over here, I could look through the list, and I could check and see. If I was looking at other types of content, so I was looking at things like my court rules, I could come over and you see that on the left column here, I have all of my court rules available. As I can see from the menu, Oregon tends to not provide model jury instructions, thus they are not available from the menu. For any respective jurisdiction, when we're answering questions, sorry to put you on the spot, Michael, by the way, it was perfect timing for the question. So if you were, let's say that you were interested in another jurisdiction. So let's say that you were in Alaska and you had that same question for Alaska. You come in the top left. Now, before I type, you'll see that there's this little bar here that says change jurisdiction by typing. So I can type in whatever jurisdiction I'm interested in, select it from the drop down. And now I have the menu for Alaska. So the question was, well, do I have jury instructions? Well, the answer to that in the furthest right column is that yes, I have them for civil and criminal. So that is a great way to check. If we're looking for any other types of decisions, so let's say that you are perfect timing for the other question. So we're asking about, someone is asking about BIA decisions. So that is another way we can check. There is a column down here for administrative decisions. You can see the coverage for those administrative decisions. If we hover, you see I have the BIA and I have all of my various administrative offerings there for administrative opinions. Now you do have the ability, so let's say that you wanted to just look at federal. You do have an all federal option as well. And I'll just point this out because someone did just ask about federal materials. And you can see here that if I focus just on my federal browse menu, it is right here and I can see the various federal agencies for which I have administrative opinions. Now let's go back to Oregon and use that as an example. Now, the Browse menu, besides giving you a nice overview of the types of sources that you have available to in Fastcase as a whole, but also specifically for a single jurisdiction, I can use this menu. I can also use this menu to browse. So let's assume that you are wanting to look at Oregon statutes or whatever your jurisdiction statutes might be in a table of contents style format. So for this example, we could open up. So you see here that in this second column from the left, I've got my Oregon Revised Statutes. Now, before I open up the table of contents, I also want to point out this I icon. So to the left of any source name that is consistently updated, we do provide you with an I icon. Now, if you click this I icon, it's going to tell us how, or actually just hover over it, it's going to tell us how frequently something is updated. So I point this out because sometimes you may see where we have a 2019 codification of something, or you may see like our Revised Statutes 2019 edition, and you may think, OMG, my statutes are over a year behind. That is not correct. Most states tend to only release codifications once every couple of years. As a result, we've placed this icon here to let you know that even though they have not re-released a published codification, we are updating the old version of the codification every time an individual piece of legislation is passed. So hovering here, you can see that the Oregon Revised Statutes are current through Senate Bill 1605. The last time we made a change was on August 7th. The last time we checked for a change was August 31st. So opening this up, we have the ability to browse. Now, once I clicked on Oregon Revised Statutes, you see here that I have the various codifications. Oregon is one of those places that releases the codification every 2 years. So I click on the most recent version. I have all of my volumes in order. I open a volume. It then breaks that volume down into subsections, chapters, titles, so on and so forth. This is another way to check the coverage or the content that you are seeking to explore. So you also, and one kind of pro tip that I always like to point out, or beneficial use case, is you'll notice that we have a download icon to the left of each organizational section. If you click on that download icon, it does allow you to download the entirety of a chapter, of a volume, of a title in one PDF up to 500 pages at a time. Aaron, can you, while we're on this topic, we had someone ask about how do you set the default page for your jurisdiction? Can you assist in answer for the browse menu, I assume? Can you assist in answering that question?
Well, actually, I was going to mention that that's actually set automatically based on where you're located and how you're accessing Fastcase. So for example, if you're accessing Fastcase as a member of a bar association, it's automatically going to be set to the default for your bar association. So that part is done programmatically. However, in a moment or two, when we talk about the direct search capabilities and not browse, we'll talk about how you can set a default jurisdiction there as well.
Perfect. All right. So yeah, once more, thank you for that answer, by the way. So once more, your download icons are there. Click that if you want to download things in order. Otherwise, you open until we get to an individual section or an individual legal document to explore. All right, going back to the main page. The last thing I'm going to talk about before we do a direct search, because I feel like I'm going away on a tangent, is also the two types of, so in Fastcase 7 as a perk, we do offer you free access to 2 secondary databases that you did not have access to in Fastcase 6. The first is going to be Lexblog. Now, Lexblog is one of my favorite secondary sources. I am currently slightly bouncing with glee when I talk about Lexblog. Lexblog is published daily, and it is legal analysis written by legal experts for legal practitioners of all kinds. The wonderful part about Lexblog is that it covers the most interesting, unexplored corners of not just legal analysis, but also the practice of law. So let's explore Lexblog for just a moment. We come to it in the second column from the right, third from the left at the bottom under blogs. We open it up. We can now, so as you see from the browse menu, also while we're here pointing that out, I was on the browse menu, so allow me to do it a bit slower. I clicked browse. I have all of my individual sources here. I scroll down to a specific one. Now you notice that I have Lexblog here at the bottom. And then besides that, I have a magnifying glass. That means that I can set Lexblog as a source to search within. To apply it as a source, to narrow a search, I simply clicked it, and it appears, we're back at the search bar, and it has now appeared, so you see this blue box here, it has now appeared below the search bar. That anything you see in a blue box tells you that your search is going to be narrowed to that source or sources. That's how you know. Otherwise, you'll see a gray box that'll say all primary and secondary material. So remember, gray box is everything in Fastcase. Blue box is I've narrowed by something accordingly. It's a great way just to make sure that we are applying the filters we intended to apply. So I can come over here, and while we're showing Lexblog, I'm going to run a basic search on a current event that's affecting everyone, COVID-19. Let's run our search. Now you can see right away that I have 1,050 published blogs for a fairly recent current event, covering various aspects of the event, down to its impact on the endangered animals, its impact on business interruption insurance, its impact on student debt, its impact on remote depositions, et cetera, et cetera. I encourage everyone to utilize this free secondary source. I tend to use it for the following. If I'm unfamiliar with an area of law, I'll go read about other people's expertise in that area, because a lot of times they'll break it down in a way that I don't have to go and do a lot of independent research to get a general overview. I'll also use it to track legislation. So if there's a new debt relief bill passed, people often write about it. I'll use it for that purpose. I will finally use it to get people's insight about legal skills that are crucial to the modern lawyer. So if I'm interested in understanding how other people have managed a law firm in a virtual space, great way to go. If I want to learn about how to conduct a remote deposition, great resource for that as well. Now going back to the browse menu, because I don't want to dwell too much here, the other secondary source you're going to have, furthest column on the right from the browse menu, JurisPro, expert witness directory. I clicked on the name from that column to the right. I then, just like before, see a darkened blue box letting me know I'm searching just within JurisPro. JurisPro is a secondary database for locating and vetting expert witnesses. I can come over here, I can run a search. Let's assume that I wanted to find an expert witness for a child custody evaluation. I run a search for child custody within the source. I get my results of the experts associated with that search. Let's use Jeffrey Arden, number 2, as an example. And you'll see from the source that I get information, updated contact information, a biography. I get information about where they're licensed, specialties, subspecialties, expert witness history, and the like. Explore that source in your free time. Now, moving directly to how do we set, so we had a great question, okay? So how do you set a default jurisdiction? So that falls right into kind of moving away from coverage and content and browsing to direct searching. And I know a lot of you are thinking, oh, we took forever to get there. And I do apologize about that, but I want to be thorough. So
I'll tackle this one, Ken, if you'd like.
Yeah, please do. Yeah, I'll take a moment to breathe.
No problem. So running a direct search in Fastcase. As Ken mentioned, if you do not set a jurisdiction prior to searching, your jurisdiction is currently going to be set to all of the jurisdictions in Fastcase. So that's all primary law and all secondary content. So that means that you'll get decisions from Maine all the way down to Hawaii, and decisions from all levels of court. Now, most of the time, that's not what you're interested in doing. So it's very easy to set a specific jurisdiction for your search. So on the page that you're currently viewing, just to the right of the search box is the Jurisdiction and Sources button. When you click on that Jurisdiction and Sources button, you'll get a pop-up that shows your different jurisdictions on the left-hand side of the page and your different document types on the right-hand side of the page. So you can select a particular state and then a particular document type. For this example, let's use Alabama. So if we click on Alabama on the left, on the right-hand side of the page, we'll see the different document types that are available. We can then pick a particular document type, such as cases, or we can pick a combination of document types. So for this example, let's go ahead and pick, just click on the cases box. It will automatically select all of the Alabama state case courts for us, and we'll also grab the statutes and the regulations. So as you can see, you can get a combination of different states and different jurisdictions. And it looks like we have a great question. Can you only select one from column A and one from column B at a time? No, you can select any combination of states or other federal jurisdictions on the left and any combination of libraries on the right. So for example, you could search Alabama case law, Mississippi statutes, and Texas regs all at the same time. All right, once you've made those selections, you just hit the Save and Continue button at the top right corner of that pop-up, and you're back on the search page. Once you're on the search page, you'll see the libraries that you've selected underneath the search box. So at the moment, we have Alabama cases and Alabama statutes selected. To the left of Alabama cases all, you'll see 4 small icons. The X icon removes your current jurisdictions. The star icon saves that particular jurisdiction. So if it's a combination that you use frequently, you can save it to use later. We're going to go ahead and click on Saved Sources because once you've saved a jurisdiction, you can see you have an option to set it as your default. So if you click on Save as Default, this will become the jurisdiction you see automatically when you log in or anytime you come back to the home page. To the right of that star button, you'll see a little clock icon that shows you those saved jurisdictions that you've previously used, as well as jurisdictions that you've recently used. Finally, the last icon there is a little pencil that allows you to edit your current jurisdictions. And again, takes you back to that source selector that we saw just a moment ago. All right, so that's the basics about how you're going to set a jurisdiction. Now, running a search itself. If you look at the search box right there, you'll see that we support 3 major types of searching. Keyword searching or Boolean searching, which I mentioned earlier, that's the search where you enter a particular search term that you're interested in and then put connectors in that explain to the system how you want those terms to be related to each other. That tends to be a very precise search. We also support natural language searching. A natural language search is one phrased as if you were asking a question of another person. What is the penalty of arson? What's the timely filing for this type of motion? That kind of question. And then finally, of course, we support citation lookup. Now, as you start entering a search term, for this example, we're going to use Miranda warning. But as you begin typing in the particular letters for your search term, you might notice that the system is going to suggest particular terms that you might be interested in adding, as well as specific documents that you might be interested in. This is our feature called Type Ahead, and it's a form of predictive typing. The system looks at what you've typed so far and makes suggestions for particular documents or particular search phrases you might be interested in. And as you can see, you don't even have to type in a full word or a full citation before the system knows probably what you're looking for and is making a great suggestion. In the example right now on the screen, you can see that it's already suggesting Miranda versus State of Arizona for my particular search phrase. So if you already have a document in mind, odds are you can start typing its name or start typing its citation and have that available to you immediately without having to do any further typing. Now, this works for cases, statutes, regulations. All you have to do is just click on it from that list and you can go directly to that document. If you want to go directly to that document, you can then download and immediately get back into the search process, or you can go back to the home page to run a different search, whichever you would prefer. All right, so for this example, as I mentioned, we're going to use Miranda warning. And my handy assistant here is going to be adding some jurisdictions for us. For this one, let's do Alabama case law, as I mentioned. So for our Miranda warning search, we're going to put it in quotes because it'll be a Boolean search. So our search phrase is going to be quotation mark, Miranda warning, close quotation mark.
All right, before I do, can I take away from you for just one moment?
Yes.
Yeah, so some of you may, I pointed out something to note, and some of you may wonder, okay, I have set a new set of narrowing areas as my default jurisdiction. Why is it not working? So I always encourage people, one place to make sure that we check is to make sure that our settings do not conflict with the jurisdictions we've set to narrow by. So once more, you want to make sure that we go to that icon in the top right, orange circle, you click on settings. Now here you see where it says start each search session with. Now you see that mine had the last used scope. If you want to make sure that your designated default is what you see, you want to make sure that you have the radio button selected for default scope. I just pointed that out because otherwise it will continue to reset your designated default source back to all or the one you used in the previous search. All right, so we're going to reset that, set as default. Okay, we're doing Miranda warning.
Miranda warning. All right. So once we've entered that, we can run our search just by hitting enter or by hitting that orange search button. And here we are on the results page. So the first thing I want to point out here on the results page is that the search phrase that we use to run the search is available here at the top of the page. So you can modify or edit or fix any typos at any point just by clicking into that search box at the top of the page. This also makes doing search within super easy because you can simply add the term that you want to use to your search phrase right there at the top of the page. My results are on the right-hand panel on this page. So my results are in the right-hand panel on this page, and currently they are in a bottomless format. So that means as I scroll down further, more results are automatically loaded. So I don't have to worry about, is this page 1 of the results? Is this page 7 of the results? Just simply scroll down to see more. My results are currently in relevance order, which means that most relevant document is at the top of the page, least relevant one gets pushed to the bottom, but I can change this at any point by clicking on the Sort By button in the top right corner and then selecting the new sort order. So I can resort it so I can see the newest one at the top or the oldest one at the top or the one that gets cited to the most at the top. All of those options are available at the top right-hand corner of the page. Answering a question that we have from the questions, in the same box that you see Miranda warning, at the very rightmost edge where the mouse is pointing, you'll see a drop-down menu. From here, you have two big options. You can save this search for later. So if this is a search that you run all the time, you can search and go ahead and rerun it anytime you choose to. And you can also add an alert on that search. So that's the next menu option down. And when you add an alert on a search, that tells the system that you want to be notified via email anytime there's a new case that matches this particular search phrase. So if you've practiced in a particular area of law and you want to stay up to date on that particular area of law, you can do so by adding a search alert to that particular search phrase. We don't have a separate search within function, as I mentioned just a moment ago. You just would add your search term to that phrase at the top of the page. But what Ken was just showing you was what the alerts look like. So that is what you would receive in your email. So you can see where your search phrase occurs and receive that information bundled together in an email. So if there are 20 new cases, you would get one email showing you those 20 new cases. All right, going back to the results page for just a moment, the left-hand panel on the screen, so the one that says current sources at the top of it, is your filters panel. So At the very top of the current sources panel, you're going to see the libraries that you've restricted your search to so far. In this example, cases from Alabama and statutes from Alabama. To the right of where it says current sources, you can see how you can remove your current sources, how you can save them for later if you choose to, and how you can see your recent history of sources. Underneath that current sources panel, you'll see available sources. These are other libraries that you can add to your search right here from this particular results page. So when we set our jurisdiction a couple of moments ago, we did so before we ran the search. However, you can also run a search and then set your jurisdiction once you're on the results page using the filters on this left-hand panel. So if I wanted to right now, I could add all of those federal Alabama courts, or I could add any state court that I choose to. All I have to do is click on it from that left-hand panel. And as Ken is conveniently showing you, you can filter that left-hand panel so that you can see a particular state or a particular jurisdiction. Underneath these available sources, you're going to see the filters for time. So these filters will allow you to restrict your search results to a particular date span. So if you want to, you can restrict your search to the last 20 years, last 10 years, the last year, or set a specific date range, such as 1983 to 1987. All right, I'm going to show you one last thing on this left-hand panel, and that's the suggested terms there at the very bottom. Suggested terms is a tool that looks to your current results and shows you common terms of art and common legal phrases that are currently appearing in your results. So let's say that you ran a search on an area of law that you're not terribly familiar with. You could run a very general search and then use these suggested terms to focus your search down to a particular area or aspect without having to do the brainstorming for those terms yourself. So in this example, I have my Miranda warning search, and you can just click on arrest with that plus sign and have the search results automatically filter to show you only the cases that have both the phrase Miranda warning and the term arrest. Similarly, if there's a term in that panel that you don't want to see, you can just hit the minus sign next to that term, and those cases will be filtered out of your results. So again, very easy, very quick to get very focused results using that left-hand panel. All right, Ken, do you want to talk about docket alarm and filtering down to docket alarm?
Yes. Before we do that, I'm going to fill in a little bit of the gaps from questions that we had as we go. So the first great question was talking about sorting. So Aaron, we talked earlier, top right, about the sorting options. So cited here means the number of times that a case has been cited to by your search results or your, and it changes as you narrow. So in this case, if I clicked on cited here by order, and we use the first case ex parte Wiley, cited anywhere means that inside of the Fastcase, so for all of the legal documents in Fastcase, ex parte Wiley has been cited to 12 times by documents as a whole. Cited here means that out of my 100 search results, you see the 4 here, cited here, it's been cited to 4 times by the 100 legal documents within our search results. So anywhere repository as a whole, cited here being number of times within the search results. Now, let's see, how do we access our saved searches and also our alerts? So to find those things, you want to look for the clock icon. So clock icon is going to be top right. The clock icon is where we find search history, saved materials, and case law alerts. If you click on the clock icon, there are 5 tabs that open up. Working from left to right, 2 tabs on the left, you have an unlimited, so no expiration date search history. To the right of that, you have a document history. You have the middle one is your bookmarks or your saved documents. To the right of that, saved searches. So to answer your question, where we find the saved searches, clock icon, 4th tab from the left, 2nd tab from the right. Case law alerts also, this is where you can go if you want to edit the frequency for which you receive case law alert emails. Otherwise, as a rule, you receive 1 email per search query for which an alert is associated no more than once every business day. Okay, so going back to our main page. So Aaron was noting about one of the nice things about Fastcase 7 is that we noted before, we have partnered with Docket Alarm. So Docket Alarm previously was a separate platform. You had a separate subscription. Nothing was integrated. It's where you went to get, so Fastcase would publish an opinion or an order. Docket Alarm is where you went to get all of the litigatory documents, final order, final opinion, etc. What we've done in the new system is we have pulled in those, I think it's something like 400 million litigatory documents or litigation documents, and allowed you to search them at the same time you would run a search like for a statute or for a case. So let's use an example. So for this, I'm going to go back to jurisdiction and sources. Okay, we're going to go ahead and reset these. Okay, so in this example, we could do something like California. And then you could come over here. So column A, column on the left, I selected my broader jurisdiction. On the right-hand side, column in the right, you see that I have this separate area here that says brief pleadings and orders. So just like with anything else, I can open up each of these document types, and then I can select, okay, so let's say that I wanted to narrow by brief pleadings and orders. I could select my individual court, so Superior Court, Court of Appeals, et cetera, and I have that organization by content type and by individual court. So you see I have that for pleadings, and then I have a separate one for orders of opinion. So you can narrow this way. Now you can also narrow, you could also just come over here. So Erin and I differ. Erin likes to narrow before she runs her searches. I like to narrow after I run my searches. So let's assume that one of my favorite laws is the Clean Water Act. So let's say that I wanted to pull up documents associated with, or pleadings associated with the Clean Water Act. I could do so as so, run a search for clean water. And then I get, of course, all of my search results, way too many. I then can narrow, but you see at the bottom, I now have the ability, if I come over here, I can open up. So below where I have primary and secondary sources, I also have one here that says brief pleadings, motions, and orders. So I can open this up. I can open up briefs and motions, for example, and then I can just keep opening, open up California, and then I could just click on any of my narrowing areas here. So I want to say, and then of course you can just come over here and open up any of your various. So there's a motion, you click the title of it, it opens it in the system. You'll see a skeleton view so this kind of refreshed skeleton view, depending on what we're pulling from. So if you're pulling from a Superior Court document, I always tell people, just be patient, because depending on what we're pulling, it may have to be a manual pull and things of that nature. Going back to search results, you can also, and then it's just that easy. You can look at any of the other jurisdictions, do it by content type, et cetera, Santa Clara County. If there's nothing available, of course, the system will just tell you there's nothing available when you're looking at it. All of the jurisdictions you see here reflect, so to answer your question, so a manual pull is when you go directly to the court itself and pull the documents because it was not already sitting in our database. So unfortunately, when you're dealing with servers, there's only so much space for kind of retaining documents. So for things that people use less frequently, we'll just do a manual pull, which is essentially just a fancy way of saying you put in a request to the court itself. It usually only adds about a minute or two in kind of the how does it affect your life way to when the document itself is loading. So I just tell people when you see the skeleton view, just bear with us a little bit, because that's what it means when we talk about a manual pull. So it's kind of like 40 seconds to open versus 3 minutes to open. Okay, Aaron, I'm going to ping it back to you. You want to start talking about what was next on your list?
Absolutely. So I'm going to answer one question from the audience first, and that is, are these pleadings, motions, dockets, etc., available for free? They are not included in the basic Fastcase subscription. However, they are something that you can add as an optional add-on. So if you want to just take a quick look at the system, you do get actually a couple of them for free. I think it's 3 documents for free just to see how the system works. And then you have the option for subscribing for that additional access. So again, the dockets, the motions, pleadings, that is an optional upgrade for most Fastcase subscriptions. It depends on what subscription model you want, the pay-as-you-go or the monthly option, but they're very affordable and very reasonable. Just reach out to us if you want more information about that. There is a user guide, as I mentioned. You can access it from that question mark symbol in the top right corner of the page. All right, so let's actually go to a document. So if my wonderful assistant would go ahead and enter arson as his search phrase, we're just going to go to one of my favorite cases. All right. So while that is loading, I'm just going to also answer another question. We will be covering how to download and print a document in just a second. All right, go ahead and grab BECV state if you would. All right, so here we are on the document view page. And as you notice, on the left-hand side, you'll still have your results panel open. This is so that you can continue to view other results in your current search, so you don't have to constantly go back and forth between the results page and the document page, etc. At any point, if you want to, you can expand the document to become full screen. There's actually 2 ways to do it. On that right-hand side of the document, just above the text of the document, there's an icon shaped like a little square. If you click on that square, it'll make the document full screen. You can also do this by unchecking the results icon on the left-hand side of the page. So 2 different ways of doing so. Now that we're on the document page itself, you might notice that there's a bunch of tools here above the document. The first one I want to point out is the Find in Document search box there above the document. This allows you to find additional tools or additional terms in the document that you're currently viewing. So currently, the term that we use to find this document, arson, is showing as a little highlighted box underneath Find in Document. If I click on that arson button, it's going to show me where, in this case, that particular term appears. Now, if I want to find an additional term in this particular document, for this example, let's just use the word criminal. All I have to do is type that word in and then hit the orange search button, and it will highlight where that particular term appears in the document. So as you can see, I can just click on the word criminal to see where the word criminal appears. To the left of those 2 highlighted boxes, there's a little icon that looks like a piece of paper. This is the icon for most relevant paragraph, and if you click on it, the system will take you to the most relevant paragraph in that particular document. On the far right-hand side, you'll see highlighted terms and a checkbox. That allows you to unhighlight terms. So if you don't like seeing those highlights, you can just uncheck that. And the trash can that's just to the right of it removes all of your current highlights. Now, in the center of that bar above, you'll see an icon that says Doc. And there's 2 arrows, one to the right and one to the left. This icon takes you to the next and the previous document in your results list. So if you've got your document in full screen view and you don't want to open that results page again, you can use those next and previous document buttons to scroll to the next or previous document. So we just moved to the statute section, the Alabama Code. And we'll go back to Beck versus State.
Hey, Aaron.
Yes.
Can I have you tell the audience, we've had a couple of questions about the new graphic change and has it made it more useful on mobile devices? Can you tell us a little bit about the graphical changes and what it means for a person who's using, let's say, not the app, but trying to access Fastcase on something like an Android phone or a tablet?
Well, we're very pleased to announce that Fastcase 7, the version you're looking at right now, is responsive and mobile friendly. So this means that if you have a small screen, such as a really old monitor or an iPad or other tablet device, or even something as small as a mobile phone, you can actually use Fastcase 7 on that device. So that means that you no longer have things that won't load because their pages are funny and they don't scroll right and the icons are too big or too small. You don't have to worry about that anymore. So if you want to, you can use Fastcase 7 on a mobile device. We do have a separate mobile app that is available, but we're in the middle of updating it. So you might want to use Fastcase 7 on your mobile device until we finish doing that big update.
Can I add one note for you? Yeah, a shout out to my Apple friends. I myself loving my Apple devices. We are currently kind of doing last minute finessing to those who access on Apple mobile devices. If you use a MacBook or laptop, et cetera, you are fine in current version. If you're using an iPad Pro or an iPhone, of course, just be aware that we're implementing some last minute changes that should be all set to go in the next several business days. Several being like 5 or less. All right, all I had to add.
Fair enough. All right, so there's actually 3 more icons I want to show you from this particular header above the case. So the icon that you see that looks like a downward pointing arrow, these are your download options. So the perennial question is, how do you print from Fastcase? At the moment, Fastcase does not print directly to your printer. Instead, you click on that download arrow and you'll see 2 options. To download immediately, you click on Download Now. When you do, it'll give you a couple of options. You'll be able to download in either PDF format or Microsoft Word format. And you can choose if you want to have 2 columns on your documents, like the old reporters, or just 1 column. Once you've made those selections, hit download and the document will start downloading on your device. Once it's downloaded, you can save it, you can print it, you can email it, whatever you'd like. It's available to you for that purpose. And just as a reminder, your access to Fastcase is unlimited, which means that you can download as much as you'd like, print as much as you'd like, search as much as you'd like, stay logged in as long as you'd like. There are no incremental charges. So this is what my document looks like. It downloaded to the computer, and as you can see, I have all of the options I need to use. All right, the other menu option that we saw when we clicked on that download arrow is Add to your download queue. So if you click on that, what that does is it saves the document in your download queue so it can be downloaded with other documents at the same time. So let's say that you're on a roll and you don't want to download each case separately. You can add them to the download queue and download them together. Or let's say that you're looking at a particular section of a statute and you decide you want that entire chapter or that entire article. No problem. You can add all of those documents together and then download them together. So once you've clicked on Add to your download queue, at the top of the page, there is a button that's shaped like a cloud with a downward arrow pointing in it. That's your download or export queue. And when you click on it, you can see all of the documents that you've added to your queue. So again, you can bundle 10, 20, however many documents you'd like to together in that queue. And then when you're ready to download them, just hit that orange export button on the top right. That will then show you all of the download options that you have for that particular batch. Again, Microsoft Word format or PDF, single or dual column, and you can choose if the batch of documents downloads as one long document, which would be more convenient for that entire article of a statute, etc., or if it downloads in a zipped folder with each document as a separate document in that folder. And you can also name it anything that would be convenient. Also from that download or export queue, you can see things that you've previously exported. So if you're like me and you downloaded something last week and now you can't remember where you put it, you can just click on that export and re-export it at any time. So you don't have to worry about where did it go. You can just click and get another copy anytime you choose to. Okay, enough about the downloads window. I'm just going to really quickly cover the sharing icon, which is next to the download icon in the top right corner. From here, you can share documents from Fastcase a couple of different ways. You can email a document directly to a recipient. All you have to do is enter the email address that you want to send it to, and the document will travel in the body of the email. So you don't have to worry about, is there an attachment? Did the attachment go through? It travels in the body of the email. The second way that you can share a document directly from Fastcase is to generate what's known as a public link. A public link is a public domain copy of the document that you're currently viewing, and this is available for all primary law documents in Fastcase. Just click on Copy Public Link to Document, and it will generate a public domain copy of the case. So anyone that you send that link to, a client, a colleague, opposing counsel, a student, the court even, although ask permission before you send it to the court. But anyone that you send that link to will have a copy of the document that you were just viewing with exactly the same formatting, citation, and pagination as what you were just viewing. Okay, so this public link is what's known as a static link. It's available today, tomorrow, 3 years from now, and you can use it on a newsletter, on a web page, however you prefer to use it. Perfectly fine. All right. Ken, I'm going to turn over to you for the authority check.
All right, perfect. So, oh, and one last thing about public links. If you choose to receive case law alert emails, one nice thing about getting those emails is that each of your search results in said email is attached to a public link, meaning that you can forward this email with the newly published materials to anyone, regardless of whether they subscribe to Fastcase. You can also then read text of things without having to log into the system or leave your inbox. All right, so let's talk about authority checks. So one of the most common questions we get asked is, do you have, can you shepherdize? Do you have key cite, et cetera, et cetera? The answer is no. We call every repository has a different name for their case citator. Ours is called authority check. Case citators work ideally the same. They do two things. Number one, they tell us whether a case is good or bad law and why. And number two, they give us additional neutral citing references or allow us to expand upon our research by finding other cases that have cited to what I consider to be my anchor case or the case upon which the authority check report was ran. So let's use, in this example, let's use the case we have on our screen. Now, we find the authority check report, you want to look for the flag. A way to remember is, has my case been flagged as bad law? You look for the flag. So you find the flag in two places. Number one, you find it to the left of the case title from your search results. Number two, you find it in the top left above the text of the opened case. So a reminder, two places, left of the title of the case in the search results. Number two, left in the top left of the text of the opened case. Now we click the flag and it opens up the authority check report. Now the authority check report is going to be broken apart into two categories. You're going to have negative treatment is your top tab. You're going to have your neutral citing references as your bottom tab. I open up my negative treatment. Now you see here that I have 3 negative treatment or 3 bad law cases. Now for the bad law cases, you've got the case title. You also have a bolded portion telling me why the case at issue or the case upon which the authority check report was ran is considered to be, or has negative treatment or is considered to be potential bad law. If I highlight it, you can see that it was reversed on other grounds by the subsequent citation. Now, once you are on this page, you can do a couple of things with the authority check report. I could filter out by jurisdiction, so I could click here and I could filter out my results by individual court system, et cetera, or by broader state kind of groupings of courts. I can also sort this list in the same ways that I was able to sort. So I could sort by, it's automatically sorted by relevance. I could also sort by date, i.e. most recent. I could also sort by what I like to call popularity. So I could sort by the number of times other courts have cited to the specific case listed in this report. So if I had, let's say I was dealing with a larger case, I had 74 negative citing references, but I wanted the one with the most oomph. I would then want to sort by most cited would be an example. Now, in the coming months, this itself will have a search within function to allow you to designate a keyword without having to open each case. So stay tuned because I'm very excited about that kind of added feature. For now, we focus on, go ahead, Erin, were you about to say something?
I was just laughing at you. You're good.
For now, we have those various sorting options, et cetera, et cetera. Now, I did lie to you because I told you that there were only 2 ways to open the authority check report. The third way to open the authority check report, we also just added in case, you know, you're like myself when you're staring directly at something, but you're like, that flag is not there. There's also an authority check button on the left-hand side. So let's, you see these buttons over here, we can kind of toggle on and off things that we don't want. I don't know about you, but the last thing I want to deal with is a bunch of tabs and multiple windows and overlapping things. So the navigation buttons are on the left-hand side to help you click on and off things that you don't want. So if you're done with authority check, you have a button here on the left-hand side. You can click it off. You can click it on. You can close it out. If you want to reopen your results, you click your results. And look, it's like magic. They just reopen. I love it. These buttons just have me thrilled because I'm so sick of clicking and where's everything? End of story. If you want to navigate your search results page, use the buttons on the left-hand side as your kind of fail-safe. So, and then of course, as I said, you click off the results. You can then find authority check. You click the button and there we are. Bam. I did not need to add the bam, but I'm going to add it anyway. Thank you, James. I appreciate it. Anyway, Erin, I'm going to kick it back to you. Do you want to talk about anything remaining?
Yes, I just want to mention that you have those flags for authority check report on the cases. This was a question that came up earlier, but just to make sure it got addressed, we also have annotations for statute sections. So if you have a statute section and you want to see how that statute section has been treated in the case law that's citing to it, same location for the buttons, you'll see a capital A for annotations on the statute section. And when you click on that, that will show you the annotation sections for that particular statute section. So again, same position, just if you're on a statute section, you'll have an A for annotations instead of a flag, and that will show you where the annotations are for that particular case. All right, just a couple of really quick closing thoughts. There are a couple of features that we're not going to get to today, but that are really awesome. So I do recommend checking out the tutorial videos that we mentioned that were in the support materials there at the top of the page. I also wanted to go ahead and mention that we do have, as we saw when we were looking at Browse View, a number of secondary options. If you have questions about secondary materials, please let us know. We'd be happy to tell you more about that. And also, just to emphasize the point that Ken mentioned at the very beginning of the presentation, Fastcase 6 is not going away. So we just want you to be able to see and to check out all the new awesomeness in Fastcase 7. You'll still have access to Fastcase 6 if you need it, and you still have access to the Fastcase support team. And one of the easiest ways to access the Fastcase support team is to use the chat button in the corner of the screen. So when you click on chat, it'll connect you directly to a member of the Fastcase reference and support team. And so it's going to be a trained law librarian or a reference attorney who'd be delighted to help you with your technical issues or to help you with your Boolean search questions. And I really recommend that if you've got a Boolean search question, because as one customer found out earlier today, Boolean search questions get very long and very complicated very quickly. And if you don't want to sit there and guess, did Erin say question mark or quotation mark? Use the chat function so we can copy and paste it so you can see what we're talking about. All right, any ending questions that we didn't cover?
Let's see. Someone asked, can you go to the exact page where a reference is stated? Do you want to touch on this, Erin?
At the moment, it will not jump there. That's something that we're working on for a future update. Stay tuned to that blog that you saw on the front page or to the changelog for when that new feature will come out.
All right, let me just do one fell swoop. Some last other touching things is if you missed any of the audio or video during the session, or we had some sort of interruption that did it on your behalf, we will be providing you with a follow-up email with the recording of this session, as well as a copy of the user guide and a quick reference guide. If you need additional training, we do offer, and we will continue to offer, a tour. So a tour of Fastcase 7. We offer it the second and fourth second and fourth Monday of every month, and we will continue to offer those past the end of September. Now, we will also offer these Wednesday sessions at this exact time through the end of the month. If you need the link to register for an additional session, please email support@fastcase.com and we will be happy to provide it to you. Erin, have you had the opportunity to do one last swoop of the questions to see if we've missed anything?
I think we've got them all, but again, if you haven't caught them, please feel free to reach out to the support team. Best way is that chat button on the screen, but you can also call us 866-773-2782 or email us support, SUPPORT, @fastcase.com.
All right. Well, thanks again, everyone, and look out for that recording.
Excellent. Have a great afternoon, everyone.